Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Women's Coffee Club. We created this club to provide a safe space for women to share and inspire each other. This is a sisterhood to support each other and grow together. With that, I'd like to introduce you to Jessica Waters. She'll be presenting about clearing your clutters here, the mess and the miracle. What's beneath all of these clutters or mess in your house? Because it's sometimes much more than that. She's gonna try to help us go through the process of self-inquiry, looking into beyond or beneath about all of the stuff that's surrounding you. So with that, Jessica, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your background and why this topic.
Okay. Well, I want to say hi, everybody. As you know, my name is Jessica Waters, and I have been helping people get underneath their clutter for almost 30 years now. And a lot of times people say, how did you even get started with that? When I was a kid, my dad was like that guy from Peanuts Pigpen, that he had like a cloud of clutter behind him wherever he went. And it was like scraps of paper and receipts and who knows what, broken pencils and candy wrappers, dirty napkins, everything. And on the other hand, the women that he married were like total OCD, you know, constrictive, everything had to be perfect, perfectionist women. So by rights, I have both in my energetic genetics. And I would say that I lean more towards the everything in order, but at the same time, I have a lot of compassion for people and understanding of people who are more like my dad. So let's see, I'm using a little bit of a teleprompter. So it's my first time. Okay. So one of the things that I notice for most of my clients is that when their environment, when their surroundings are are chaotic, it's really hard for them to get anything done. It's really hard for them to focus. So today, my goal is to give everybody the experience of what it feels like to go underneath the clutter and see what's lying there. Because in my experience, 100% of the time with my clients over all the years, their clutter had always had an emotional underpinning. And some of you have already heard me speak, and so you know, I always give the example of a woman, and I'll make this long story short. But when years ago, when I was living and working in LA, I went to a woman's house, and her house was immaculate except for one room. And during the course of our conversation, we found out that her best friend had always stayed in that room and had died of
Oh,
cancer. And so for her, she was stuffing her feelings into that room. And once we were able to acknowledge that, then the cleaning up of the room was easy. Once you acknowledge what the energy is underneath the clutter, then the clutter, it's almost like it clears itself up. So let me get this straight here. So a couple of things I wanted to talk about, which I found really interesting. The etymology of the word clutter comes from the Middle English, and it comes from the word to clot, and it has the same root as clatter and cluster. So it's pretty easy to see that clutter. When I first heard that the root word was to clot, it like made so much sense to me, because clutter to me is any point, whether it's energetic or physical, that breaks the flow. And so that's how I began working with people, is for them to understand it's like these things aren't, they don't have magical properties that you necessarily, you know, what they are is a representation, just like money. Money is just little green pieces of paper in the United States. In Chile, it's a little bit different, um, but we've all agreed that it represents an energy exchange. Well, it's the same thing with clutter. Clutter, whether it's like your grandmother's quilt that she made you that you've never used, that's sticking in a closet, gaining mothballs, or whether it's a super expensive silk blouse that you bought that never looked good on you, but you feel too guilty to give it away, or whatever it may be, it's just a representation of a feeling or a resonance that you had at some point with that item. So this is not working out. Hold on one second, because I have so many good points that I want to be able to talk about. You know what? I'm just going to do it from here. Sorry about that. Okay. So, sorry, I had a little bit of food poisoning last night, so my brain isn't working perfectly well. So when you look up the definition of clutter, you get synonyms like disarray and untidiness. But for me, those are so formal and so superficial. To me, my way of defining clutter is the physical and energetic manifestation of being out of harmony with what surrounds you. It's anything that keeps you from being the highest reflection of yourself. So if you believe, like I think most of us do, but I certainly do, that everything is made up of vibrating energy, then what you are surrounded with is, affects you because it's vibrating at a certain frequency. You could either be in resonant with that or in disharmony with that. I mean, I know that it's easy to tell, like sometimes when we meet someone, we can say, oh, I don't vibe with them at all. Or I felt like I knew them all my life. Well, it's the same thing with stuff. So you can tell when you are in resonance with something in your environment. Again, I'm going to give an example that I've given in talks before, so please forgive me. But I had a client who was a speaker on a lot of stages. And back in the day when people used to have like those 10 CD sets, she had a whole bookshelf of them because when she'd go to a conference, the speakers would exchange them with each other. And it was so hard for her to even approach that shelf because she was just so overwhelmed. There were probably like 50 CD sets that probably represented like, $50,000 worth of stuff. And I had her hold each one of them in her hand and not even look at what it was. And I asked her to say, does this give me energy or does it take energy away? And in like 5 minutes, she was able to go through all of them, boom, and kept like 3. So that was an example of how she could feel the resonance with things. You don't even have to look at it. So here's the thing. If we are the ones that have chosen, obviously if you live with other people, they have a say in it too. But for the most part, the things that we put into our immediate environment are things that at one point or another, we felt were resonant with us. And, or I shouldn't even say that. I could say that one point or another, we made a choice to either keep them or buy them, or, if somebody was giving them to as a gift, accepting it as a gift. But each one of those things, we made the choice and are still making the choice, whether it's conscious or unconscious, to keep those in our environment. I mean, sometimes those choices can be healthy choices. We keep things for self-loving reasons or for more dysfunctional reasons that we might not even be aware of. I had a client the other day who told me that she keeps underwear in her underwear drawer that has holes in it because her mother told her, don't throw those away, you might need them someday. So that's an example of a choice that we make. She made that choice to keep them, even if though it was for a dysfunctional reason, which was to please her mother. So this can include stuff, people, paperwork, broken things we feel guilty about, overwhelming projects we've taken on, the work we've committed ourselves to on a daily basis, our home decor, the ambiance in our home, anything really. So right now, I just want to do like a quick check-in with people, and you can, I just want you to close your eyes for a quick second and then open them up and look at something in your environment that you feel out of resonance with. And if you want, please drop in the chat what you see that you do not feel resonant with, that's right near you. Could be anything. Just drop it in the chat when you. It could be a broken pencil. It doesn't have to be anything major. Magazines I'll never make the time to read. I totally get that one. I lugged them around for decades before I finally said, I'm done with this. I'm never going to read this magazine. So the stack of papers intended for recycling, that's good, but that's something that like you're going to eventually take them out to the recycling. I'm thinking more of either something that you feel guilty about or that you know, like I once worked with a teacher who, well, a lawyer who kept her law books from when she was in law school, and she'd been a lawyer for 30 years. Like, when was she ever going to refer back to her 30-year-old law books? Okay, cool. That's good. Carpeting. Yeah, that's totally part of it. So whether we are aware of it or not, we're always in an energetic exchange with everything we come in contact with, and that means everything that surrounds you in your personal space. So think of all the things that encompass you in your life right now. Clothes from a former profession, rarely used sports equipment, broken or unused kitchen gadgets, unpaid credit card bills, dusty collections. I can't tell you how many people I know started a collection when they were like in college and they still had it like stuck away somewhere, dusty and dirty and forlorn, when either they could sell it on eBay or they could give it to somebody who would really appreciate it. Craft supplies, junk food, unreturned Amazon purchases, memorabilia, things that you never look at, even friends, family, community, too many plans, goals, financial and legal paperwork, the way you eat, the way you think, the way you spend, what you watch, anything that distracts you from the scratchy feelings you've been programmed not to bring to light, that's clutter. And especially as women, we are taught to like just keep quiet about the things that we feel uncomfortable, like the woman that had the holy underwear. I had her dump out her underwear drawer, and every time she pulled something out that she hated, pair of underwear that she hated, I made her swear really loud. And that, she said, it was like freedom for her to like, it was like a release of energy. So if you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. You're technically not even the same person you were 10 minutes ago. So how could it be that everything that you had from the past is as important to you today? I mean, how many of us forget about that stuff? We stick it in the basement, we stick it in the attic. In the United States, there's a lot of room. People have a lot of room in their houses, or they don't, then it just piles up all over the floors and stuff. But like, for example, in Chile, people don't have cabinets, they don't have closets. I'm not kidding you. Many, many people do not have kitchen cabinets, they don't have closets, they don't have basements or attics. So they don't keep stuff. They either sell it or they give it to their friends and family. So all that vibrating, energy filled stuff around you has something to say. And if you ignore it, as most of us do, it sits there and it screams at you silently all the time, every day, even when you're sleeping, but you're probably not hearing it, hearing it, because no one ever taught you how to listen. And that's what I'm here to do today, is I'm here to teach you how to start the process of listening to what your clutter is telling you, or maybe it's even been screaming at you for years. So whenever I would go in person to clients, they would always have an excuse like, oh, whatever, I've had so much company, or it's the summertime, or it's the wintertime, or, whatever. They always had a reason why their house looked like it did. But once we started but it was always a superficial excuse. Once we started to peel back the layers gently, we found that there were things like rage, resentment, guilt, loneliness, or a big one is the feeling that no one is there to take care of me. So as women, we've been taught to shut down our communication to our inner knowing about what we need and what we want to say in order not to make waves. But every time we deny ourselves, I like to say, an angel loses its wings, like the It's a Wonderful Life. So a lot of times when I tell people I'm a professional organizer, they're like, "Oh, what methods do you use? Do you use Marie Kondo? Are you like the home edit? Do you use the David Allen getting things done method?" So in other words, what system do you use? Like, where should I put this? Should I decant my cereal in color coordinated order? Should I, which hanger should I use? Should I ask myself if this sparks joy? Should I go in this particular order? But all those questions are superficial questions. None of them allow the deeper root cause, allow the revelation of the deeper root cause, which is what caused the clutter in the first place. And when we have clutter, when we clear the clutter in our hearts and in our minds and in our energetic field, the physical clutter, it's almost like it disappears. Honestly, it's like magic. When it's not weighed down by the anchor of unexpressed emotional clutter, the task of decluttering is no longer overwhelming. It's just something that gets done. And the bottom line is that I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm going to show you a small percentage of what I do with my clients, but it's an ongoing thing. There's not Marie Kondo, nobody, not those two women on Netflix. Nobody has a one and done method. It's always going to be an ongoing thing. But when you have the tools for figuring out, oh, look, I have clutter in my kitchen. Maybe I'm not nourishing myself. Oh, I had a client who she had a king size bed and there was only room for her, not her husband. Now, needless to say, they ended up getting divorced, but she, you know, it never occurred to her that she was actually pushing her husband out of the bed. So in the future, after learning how to do this, if you are so inclined, you will have the tools to approach your clutter with, like, almost like it reveals to you what the issue is that you need to deal with right now. Is my desk piled high because I've either taken on too much stuff, or I don't know how to say no, I don't have good boundaries, or maybe I don't even care about that stuff and I don't really want to do it. So I could actually get rid of half of this stuff because I don't care about it. The battle for keeping our energy field clear is a lifelong battle, but what I'm going to show you is it's a process that I developed with my clients so that you can use it on any system you have. Like if you want to use Marie Kondo, you can use Marie Kondo, but you can add this as a tool in the toolbox. It just makes it so much easier and it lasts so much longer. So if clutter is noisy and emotional and burdensome, how can you learn to have a better relationship to it? How can you learn to let go of the things that maybe right now or in the past, when you were looking at it, seemed like, oh, I can't let that go. I can't for whatever reason. Well, in the law of physics, the law of conservation of energy means that energy can never be created or destroyed. It can only change forms. And what that means to me in this context is that you can't just repress, suppress, or ignore an uncomfortable feeling. It doesn't go away. It has to resolve itself somehow. I call it the arc. You have to complete the arc of that feeling, whether it's crying or therapy or whatever method, exercise, whatever it is that works for you. Those feelings need to be acknowledged and then acknowledged, lovingly confronted, and then released. So when we push down who we are or how we feel, these things leak out. They leak out into your floor or your closet or your desk or your kitchen counter, your garage, your basement, your attic, storage units. All that stuff is just our feelings trying to come out and shake us awake. So if we have this stuff surrounding us that's constantly yelling at us to take a deeper dive and gently confront our unhealed hearts, There's not a symptom on earth that will make the clutter go away and stay away. So that's why I call what I do a process. It's not a system. It's not like every single person can do this. You can't like read a book and then do it. It's so personal to each individual person. What I did for that woman whose best friend died in the bedroom is different than what I did for the woman who had underwear that her mother said she would keep. Everybody has a different creative process in order to deal with their stuff. So, part of the problem that most people do is that they think their feelings rather than feel them. So when you get to that point where your frustrations with the systems that you've tried in the past, you've read a magazine, you've read a blog post, you've read the book, you've watched the video, doesn't work, that's when this process is going to be the best. So let's take a minute or two to do the process. I'm going to give you a few example questions. Choose one of them, and if you feel comfortable, what we're going to do is we're going to close our eyes and we're going to think about something that a place in our home. It doesn't have to be right in front of you. It could be, in your attic. It could be in the next room. It could be right in front of you. Think of a place that causes you frustration, stress, and overwhelm. And I want you to close your eyes and I want you to have like a little dialogue with that stuff. I want you to ask that stuff, what is it that you're trying to tell me? And I'm going to put some questions in the chat. I'm going to go over them real quick. The first one is, do I feel safe? That means physical security as well as feeling safe to be your truest self. Do I feel cared for? Not feeling that someone has your back can be very, very lonely. Am I grieving? This doesn't have to be for a person or a pet. It could be something like grieving the way your life turned out, or grieving the way you thought your marriage was going to be, or grieving a job or a profession that you used to have, or grieving your well body when you now are disabled. And do I feel like I'm taking care of others, but no one is taking care of me? So right now, I'm going to give a few minutes if you want to close your eyes and just think of a space in your life. It doesn't even have to be a physical space, but it's easier right now if it is, where you can just have a little dialogue with the clutter that you're thinking of that's causing you frustration. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes, and if you want to drop it in the comments, that would be great. It's up to you.
Jessica, after everyone have done that, do you want them to just raise their hands and let them we'll just
We
go
could do that.
through
We
and
could do
just
it that
kind of
way too. Yeah.
I'd like that because then it kind of be conversational and yet you're going through the process.
Right. Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. So if you want to, once you're done with it, if you want to just put a raised hand and then I'll call
Yeah.
your
When
name and then we'll just
as you're
go
done,
around.
yeah, put the raised hand. So go within, close your eyes, and see what you can hear. What's your clutter talking to you, saying to you right now? It might be whispering, it might be screaming, it might be tapping you on the shoulder.
I think I'm going to start, Jessica.
Okay.
I have this in my garage. There's this picture. I have several big pictures. This is family pictures from the past. I was divorced. My first husband And anyway, it's a family pictures with the kids. They're huge pictures that you used to put it on the wall in the past, but they're no longer serving because you're not going to put those big pictures with kids when they were young on the wall anymore. But I don't have the heart to throw it away. In order to throw it away in the trash can, I have to cut them up. So I was going to have my husband now to chainsaw or whatever to cut it up so that we could put it in the trash. Otherwise, you have to take to the big dumpster or whatever. I just didn't have the heart. So it's kind of in the way. And this, we have a two-car garage, and um, I had the garage filled with stuff, and then he bought we had one car, and he has a work truck that we park outside the garage, and then he's retiring, so we bought another car. Now we don't have room in the garage. Was cleaning the
Rennie,
garage.
Rennie,
Yeah,
I'm going to encourage you to maybe take another minute and see what your clutter is, what those pictures are telling you. Because you're talking about the physical items. What are they telling? What are they saying to your heart? Like, what
they're
is
my
it?
kids, my family picture. So it's like
Yeah,
it's the
yeah.
kids, but the thing is, I don't think any
That's
of
with
the
your
kids
head.
want them.
See if you can drop a little bit deeper and see, is there grief? Is there loneliness? Is there anger? See if you can find those deeper. You don't have to talk about it now because we'll go to see it and maybe we'll come circle back to you. But see if you can find the deeper level of why it's hard to let go. Because once you let go, it will release an amazing amount of feelings. And then you'll be able to physically, it won't matter if you throw them in the trash or not. I promise. Okay. Anybody else?
Let's go, Sandra, let's go to you.
Oh, we
You're
can't hear you. There.
Yeah. I was going through them. I was hoping you were going to just ask the questions as my eyes were closed too, but mine's the piles of papers for all the courses I've taken for so many years. And I love learning and I love the courses I've had, but then you get other papers on top. So am I feeling safe? But probably that would be one of the things I'm not feeling safe, because how am I going to remember all this stuff if I haven't got the reference to go back to? But there's other stuff that I just don't do anymore that I'm going to just face up to. But that would be the safe. And do I feel cared for? Um, I I think I'm caring for myself pretty good now. So I don't think that's, yeah. I mean, on one hand, you think, I got to do this, but it's up to me to keep making my step forward. Am I grieving? Probably some grieving in there because I'm getting old. And so it wouldn't be from another person, it'd be from myself, that fear of aging, and you're getting old by yourself. My best friend died the end of October, and I've had so many friends go, and yet I am blessed that I keep active. But that's so I think I'm being cautious and hoping I'm keeping myself straight. I'm really recognizing it's me. I came in the world alone. I'll be leaving the world alone. It's all okay. And I'm doing what I can to be safe in this world. So I'm feeling fine. I'm hoping I have another couple long trips in me. So I would say most of everything I do, do I feel that I'm taking care of others, but no one's taking care of me? That's pretty much gone by the wayside as well. I think most of my safety, my own cared form of grieving is trusting myself that I've got my own back and it will all be okay. So,
Well, when you think about those papers, because those questions were just prompts that you could either use or not use for the particular thing. So what I
very good.
encourage everyone to do, and I might not have explained this properly, was I encourage you to just focus on the one thing, like just focus on those notes that you took from workshops. Like just focus on that and really hear what those papers are telling you and what is the reason that you're keeping them. And you don't have to do this right now, but just as like for for after this, if you are so, if you feel like it, just really have a dialogue with the one thing that frustrates you. Yeah. And that way, there's so much information in each and everything. It almost doesn't matter what you choose. Like that woman wasn't even thinking about her underwear drawer, but she happened to mention that her mother, she's like, oh, yeah, like I keep underwear, my holy underwear, because my mother. And I said, okay, well, let's go to your underwear drawer. It doesn't matter where you go.
Yep.
It's the information that can come from anywhere because it's all buried. So I usually encourage people to go to the most frustrating place because that has the most like meat, the most content. But thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sandra. Let's go to Lisa. Go ahead,
Hi,
Lisa.
thank you so
Hi.
much. So I have clutter. It's in my dining room. I have a very small condo. It's in my dining room. It's leaning up against a wall. It's a place where I intend to put cupboards. You know, installed from IKEA eventually with a new countertop. But I don't have the finances to do that. So my clutter is saying to me, you are waiting for the future to live. And it is painful when I pause and look at it and it screams that. You are waiting for the future to live. So I need to address this and live in the present conditions that I have without the cupboards, without the clutter, waiting for the cupboards. Then it needs to go somewhere else. And it makes me sad that I'm waiting for the future to live. I pass.
Beautiful. And that's really what it is. I mean, it could be something as simple as looking at something that you don't even notice every day, but it's still talking to you. It's still like emanating those feelings of like, you can't afford this. You can't afford what you want. You're living for the future. You're not living for right now. I mean, there's a lot of grief there. And I appreciate your honesty and your vulnerability.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
Kasia. Hi, Kasia.
Oh wow, that was quick. I thought I still have a few minutes. Oh, well, I guess my case is kind of weird because I grew up in Poland, and during the times that people had no ways to get things, so my mother tended to to always buy everything when it was possible, like in extra quantities for later. Because we even had times that, for years you would not be able to get things. And my mom was, um, didn't have energy for cleaning the house. And then eventually, as she was getting older, our basement was in the apartment building, had like gazillion of things, and even things that they were from her business. And those things, they were like, yeah, we will use them, or we will use them partially for later. And then I was always the person who was trying to organize and clean the house and the basement. And even when I came back to even when I moved to America and I was visiting Poland, my father would ask me, hey, let's go to the basement and let's clean it up. So when you leave, when mother asks about those things, I would say like, oh, it was you, not me. So she would not be upset with him, but with you. But because I guess she loved me, so and then because I was far away, she would not even call me to say like, why did you throw away those things? So I guess I am in between those times. And when I was a child, my mother also had an older brother by 2 years than me. I mean, a son by me than I was, and then she was basically grounded at home 24 hours a day to take care of him. So when I was like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, I would be like a person who would be sent to buy grocery to do shopping because my mother couldn't. And so now translating it to my life in America, I when I first came here, my husband was hired for way too little money, which we didn't have idea that we could ask for like 3-4 times more money. And and I had that tendency to buy things because I will need them later. Well, the reality between Poland, the times when I was growing up, and this reality here, for me, this was really hard when I was thinking about other people. Oh, they go to the store just to buy one, two, three things that they need right now for something, either for the project or for whatever it was. So I did, went to the store and oh my gosh, this fabric was great. One day I'm gonna make I don't know, something out of it. So I would buy, oh, this one and that one, and they ended up in a garage. But on the other hand, I'm also the good person. So I am, at times I'm going through my stuff and I'm pretty good usually because when I take
Kasia,
everything in the middle of the room, I'm uh,
Kasia,
I'm asking myself if I need it or not.
Kasia, was there something, is there an area like maybe your garage that you could just close your eyes and imagine it speaking to you and telling you something like, you know, like fear of lack or grief at the hard times that you had when you lived in Poland or
Maybe it's
guilt for
maybe.
having money. And I encourage you to sit with it rather than think of it in, like just try to guess. I encourage you to maybe sit out in your garage for 5 minutes and just listen because I can hear a lot of feelings that you have,
Mm.
but it's if you can identify them for yourself, you'll be able to be free. So that's what I encourage you because we can
So
all tell the story about what happened and why we
okay.
didn't and why we did, but the real thing is that it's a personal conversation between you
Mhm.
and those things. And every time you want to go up here in your head, I encourage you to push yourself down where it hurts because that's where you're going to understand why you keep those things. It could I was just guessing at those things for you, but I encourage you to have that conversation. All
Okay.
of you.
Well,
Yeah.
I try to explain a little bit because, I'm quite different from everybody else just because, I was moved from one place to another from completely different reality. And I didn't know if I thought that you will not understand me if I don't explain a little bit about this. But I think I can connect. My house is pretty organized and it's very
Yeah.
clean, but I
Yeah.
still have places that I stuffed things. And so right
Right.
now, actually,
Right.
this week I'm going through my clothes, and I think I have an answer to that what you said. I have
Yeah.
clothes that I'm right now getting rid of the clothes that they were too small for me, and I
Hmm.
keep them for like I don't know 10-15 years because I used to buy clothes that they were like very good quality and they never lost value in its quality. And I was
Hmm.
always thinking, okay, I'm gonna lose weight. And recently I decided, no, shit, I'm gonna get rid of those things because you know what? As soon I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna buy something new to reward myself and to make a celebration of the fact that I'm losing weight. But
Yes.
I think that at the times when I was buying those clothes, I was volunteering at the place for 13 years, and it didn't end very well because when I got my papers, that lady didn't want to pay me for my work no more. So I guess
Mm.
I'm keeping those clothes because I'm still maybe upset with her about how she treated
There
me at
you
the
go.
end.
There you
So
go.
that could be my
Yeah.
clothes.
There you go. Perfect. Excellent.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kasia, for your share.
Thank you
Let's
so
go to
much.
Mo.
I am all I can think about is my books, my books, my books, my books. I have when I moved into the place, I was so excited because there was a built-in bookshelf. And when I look at my books, I think you need to let go. I have books that I will probably never read, books that I want to read. I've probably read about 70% on that shelf, but I also have piles of books. So it's not just I've squeezed everything into the bookshelf and now I've got piles in front of the bookshelf. I mean, I love books. These are all my books that I refer to all the time. So I have them at arm's reach, literally. But I know I need to get rid of these books because I don't know, but they're definitely a security blanket. I love having my books, but to be more intentional about the books that I have on hand, like my daughter will say, "Do we have Tale of Two Cities?" Yes. Do we have Jane Eyre? Yes. I have all the books from when my kids were going through school. I have books from when I was a kid. So, I don't know what I mean, it's definitely an emotional attachment there. And I mean, I've read The Secret Garden, my original 1976 version, copy, probably 20 times. So, which is a great book if you haven't read it. Yeah, so I don't know, any insights
I
about that.
encourage you to have a conversation with your books.
Yeah.
Hold them, close your eyes, and just don't even look at the title. You'll be able to feel, you of all people, you will be able to feel the resonance or discord with that
Yeah.
book without even looking at the title.
Oh,
Give it a
that's
try.
interesting.
Yeah, give it a try.
I will give it a try. I have I'm building a website this weekend, but listening to everyone talk, I'm like, and maybe I can tackle my bookshelf this weekend too. My daughter's at her dad's house, so that's why I do big projects. I don't need to focus on anyone else. And so yeah, so that's great. I love that. Thank you, Jessica. Appreciate this.
Thank
Just
you.
my speaking engagement got moved up by 3 hours today, and I've been scrambling, so I'm listening, and I have to rearrange some things. So forgive me if I'm not completely tuned in, but this is so valuable, and I'm loving the snippets that I'm hearing as I'm scrambling over here. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mo, for your share. Carol, go ahead.
Okay, here's a little twist. Before I bring up what my little twist is, I'll say that I've been in a process for, I would say, over a year of actively processing my clutter. Okay, so I'll go right into what the twist is. The twist is that my husband has ADD, and there are areas of his clutter that scream at me. Um, but I'm clear, I don't want to get rid of him. So this is an ongoing dilemma on my part. And I have a lot of compassion for him. He unfortunately, doesn't do inner work, but I do have a lot of compassion for him because, he had a tough childhood. And so I understand why he keeps these things. But for me, I'm spending a lot of money fixing up the bedroom, but there are two pieces of his um, exercise equipment that are huge, they're sizable. And he's put them in the bedroom as his way of shunting them aside. But, so that's the dilemma. I'm actively working on my stuff, but here's something else. And it's really anything that I have that's clutter is nothing compared to, that issue that
It's
I'm looking at.
very, I hear this all the time, all the time, all the time. And it's really hard not to compare. Like, I don't have clutter, but he has clutter. But maybe is it, and I please don't take this personally because I don't know your situation at all. Sometimes when people put big, huge things in the bedroom, they're trying to tell you something. So maybe you could listen to his clutter and ask him if what you hear is what he is saying. Do you see what I'm saying? Like maybe he doesn't, you said you were redecorating. Maybe he doesn't feel like he has enough of a say, or maybe he feels like he's going to get aced out. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but I'm just saying many times in the past when I've had that same power struggle between a couple, it's been there's been underlying things that maybe he doesn't feel heard. I'm just spitballing, and it's just possible that you might want to ask him, like, what can we do? This really bothers me. I want you to feel like you have a place in our bedroom and in our house, but I'm trying to create a scenario where we can both enjoy it. How do we? How can we compromise? How can we meet each other halfway?
Right. Okay.
Clutter is never, ever, 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 ever about the stuff. Ever. It has
Wow.
nothing to do with stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so I can open up the dialogue. I just gave you one example. That's
Yeah.
only one.
Sure.
It's
Listen, I
full
have
of.
worked so many times with people whose partners have ADD or, just don't know how to create systems, don't know how to keep systems. I heard you when you said you don't want to get rid of him, but you want to find a solution that works for both of you.
Mhm.
And that's where, he's trying to tell you something in the way that he knows
Okay,
how. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your share, Carol. Judy.
I, um, I'm not sure what I've got really right now. I recently moved, and so I did a major cleanup of a lot of the things that are clutter. I do have a basement full of stuff that I just haven't gotten around to. So maybe the clutter is that I just don't seem to be able to make the time to address things that need. So maybe I just need to, like I love your suggestion of sitting down and touching the item with your eyes closed without even looking to see. Like I have a ton of boxes of books that I haven't read or anything like that, and I don't want to get rid of them. I want to read them. Um, I got a much smaller house right now, and I'm not sure where I'm going to put a bookcase to hold the books. But anyway, it really resonates with me with your suggestion of actually holding each item and seeing if it gives you good
Gives
energy or
energy or
if it.
takes energy away. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's extremely valuable to me. It just really resonates with me. It makes me think of Mo. If she touches her books, you might end up keeping every single one of your books. They might be of value.
It's
Don't
it's
don't
highly
go
unlike.
into it
I
with
can
the
tell you in almost
expectation
30
that it's.
years. Yeah, in
Oh, it's
almost 30 years, I've never had anybody keep everything ever.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
But
just
I
thinking that
wanted
it
to say,
might
yeah,
go
I
into
wanted
a
to say
very,
something in regard to what you said about not having the time. So I think that time is a form of clutter. And just like the woman stuffed all of her junk into the room that she didn't want to have to deal with the grief about her best friend dying, a lot of times we stuff our schedule and our mental set with stuff so that we don't have to deal with the deeper emotions that are uncomfortable.
that
So
makes
I
sense.
encourage you in the time on your own, this is such a short period of time and it's not private, to just really look at why you think you don't have enough time.
Right,
Like what does that really mean?
right.
Maybe talk to time, talk to your schedule, talk to your time and say, what are you trying to tell me? What am I not hearing you say?
That's fantastic. That's absolutely perfect because that's one of the prayers that I have every single morning and night is that I always give myself this chant. I have more than enough time. I have more than enough time. I have more than enough time. I have more than enough money. I have more than enough money. I have more than enough money. And neither one of them I have enough of.
Right. But but
Oh, that's a
but I
good
think if you
idea.
have a
I like that.
conversation with them, then you might be able to hear why you don't have enough time or why you don't have enough money.
I love
You
that.
know?
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
Judy. Tanya, do you have any comments or question? I know you couldn't turn on your camera. Are you still there?
Yeah, yeah, I'm here.
What are your thoughts
Yeah,
about this?
I'm, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what are your thoughts? Do you have clutter?
Um, yeah, I think the reason I signed up for this class is I can't seem to get through the crap in my office. The rest of my house is immaculate. I don't like clutter at all, but I don't consider paperwork as clutter. I just don't finish, getting through whatever it is I have to do, the taxes, I'm looking at my paperwork for the 2024 tax return, and I still have the 2023 over here. So how come I can't get that in a box and get it in the loft?
Well, what maybe you also could have that conversation with your taxes. Like, what are you trying to tell me? Maybe you are afraid you don't have enough money to pay your taxes, or maybe you are resentful that you have to be an adult, or maybe, I mean, a lot of times, for especially for women who most of us grew up with a lot of repression, like we weren't allowed to say how we felt, or we weren't allowed to be who we were. Like, you're supposed to be quiet, you're supposed to be good, you're blah, blah, blah. We have a lot of rage. We have a lot of fucking rage. And that rage comes out in, like, I have a gift. I can walk into somebody's house, or I can view somebody's house on Zoom, and I can tell what their underlying emotion is. And a lot of times there is this rebelliousness, this sort of like little girl, like, I'm not going to clean up my room. I'm not going to do my taxes. I'm not going to do the paperwork I have to do. There's like this, like a rebellious resistance that happens because we actually feel super sad and grief that we were never allowed to be who we really wanted to be. So we didn't, in rebellion, we didn't become adults. Again, I'm spitballing. I have no idea if that applies to you. I'm just throwing it out there. It has
right on.
Okay. Because I've seen it in a lot of people. And so I understand. And there is zero judgment about any of this. That's the beauty of it, is you're doing it in the privacy of your own home. Nobody has to judge you about why. But if you don't know why, you're going to keep doing it. You're going to keep thinking you don't have enough time. You're going to keep thinking that, how come everybody else can do it? Or how come my husband, whatever the thing is that you don't understand, you could understand if you took the time. 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Just listen to what your clutter is telling you. That's all. That's my message. That is like my message. Listen to what your clutter is telling you. Sorry.
It doesn't go into the rest of my house, though. It's only in my office that I have the problem.
Right. Yeah. Just like that woman. Her house was immaculate. I walked in her door and I said, why did you call me? This is like perfect. And then she opened the door. There's that one place. And usually, to me, your office is about being an adult. Your bedroom is about your relationship. And the kitchen is about nurturing yourself and your family. And that's broad, and it's not always applicable, but, for the most part.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you
for your share. It's 9 o'clock, so we're going to go a little bit over. Jessica, are you okay with that? We just have a few more people here who have not shared. Jane, you're next.
Jessica, this is so valuable. I'm listening intently to everyone, and it's like I can use that. Oh, the books. Oh, thank you. Oh, somebody else's clutter. Oh, my clutter. It's like, so I'm in a situation right now that I find myself in extremely unique. I'm at the end of a divorce, but I have a partner, a boyfriend, that I just moved in with a couple of months ago. His wife died a couple of years ago, and I primarily am the one who's cleaning out her stuff. He works full time, and I'm happy to do it because I'm good at it. But I feel like I'm in two, like I've got a leg in two different worlds. I have a storage unit that I keep my stuff in. I keep stuff here at the house. I'm happy to be here. I love the relationship that I'm in, but I feel a little schizoid. I do. It's like, so who am I? But I love the listening to everything, just and listening and get to the emotion, get out of the head. So I greatly thank you for that.
It's so easy for us to live up here and give a story. The minute you find yourself telling a story about why or how come, and you're getting into whole details about where and what and how and who, you're not feeling your feelings. You're thinking your feelings.
Right.
And I just want to say, and I hope that this is not crossing a boundary with you.
Oh,
I
no,
think
no.
really not good boundaries for you to be getting rid of his wife's stuff. That's something you really need to be, you said, I don't even know who I am. Like I forgot who I am because you're her,
Right.
like why are you making decisions about her stuff?
Yeah.
So be careful. And,
right.
I moved in with somebody that I ended up marrying who still had his ex-girlfriend stuff in the drawers. And so I have a lot of compassion for where you are.
Yeah.
And if I could go back to that time, I helped her pack the stuff. I helped her put them neatly into boxes and label them. And she later said to me, you throw my stuff out in the street. I'm like, I threw your stuff out in the street. I packed them neatly for you while you sat on the couch and watched me. So,
wow. Yes.
Get yourself back.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is I have all of his friends and family members applauding me.
Yeah.
Every step of the way. And he does too. I'm not throwing out memorabilia, but this woman
it's not about that. It's not about that. It's about why are you doing his job for him?
Yeah.
That's his job. Because he isn't dealing with his feelings about it.
Right.
But they're not going to go away. Remember what I said about the arc? His grief or anger or whatever he has about feeling about her, he's not dealing with them. He's letting you deal with it. You're feeling his feelings, not yours.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Done that.
Thank you.
There's some truth to that. Yeah.
Thank you, Jane.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
For your share. Omeka, and then we'll go to Tamara. I think you're the last person here.
But first in my heart.
Yeah. It's all a circle and a spiral. Wow. Yeah. I'm just I'm sitting here realizing that I went through some of this. It was brief, but with Jessica. And I just put it on the shelf or whatever. I walk through my things in every room all the time. And thank you for the reminder to have a seat or in my mind or physically and listen, to have a conversation. So my beads are still telling me that it's okay to just create. And I don't have to create for money. It just creates. It's okay. Oh, it's too cold. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's a mess. I can't. Okay, whatever. Create. It's okay. That's how I started out doing beads. I ended up making money. I was making beads for my mom's business or whatever, but I love to do it. And I was just creating. I ended up starting to sell things. It's like, oh, where'd you get that from? Oh, that's nice, Wally. And I just made it and gave it to her and she put it on the table. But yeah, the kitchen nurturing. Yeah, thank you for breaking it down like that. The bedroom relationships. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you had a conversation with your beads?
Well, I kind of did just now, and they were like, "It's okay to create,"
Right, but you showed me a huge wall that in a lifetime.
Yeah. In terms of right, that was in terms of making things. So that was my blockage about I can't. So that's why they kind of still sitting there.
Right.
In terms of
letting go,
moving them or organizing them or getting rid of them, no, I ain't talked to them about that. No. I haven't talked to them about that. I ended up getting a whole bunch of beads from a woman that died with her things like that. So maybe what I can not at least, but do is have a place for them to go when I'm here. Now, maybe that year, it'll be 5 years, maybe 30 years, but that's not taking care of what's going on right now. So, yeah, I ain't even got to that. So my thing is like, well, I'm sitting here making some jewelry, adding some beads, and I'm like, I'm not worried about them beads right now. There we go again with the money. I'm making some jewelry to make some money, and it's a deadline
Right.
type of thing. So,
Right.
yeah,
But
the
I
kitchen.
have a question. I have a question. Whenever I've worked with people, okay, so one of the first clients I ever had, she had an LA walk-in closet, right? Ridiculous amount of stuff. We pulled 15 bags of garbage bags of clothes out of her closet. She called me the next day and she said, I feel like I have a new wardrobe. Maybe you have too many beads. Why don't you see if you can trim them down to the absolute where every single bead that you look at, every little drawer, you say, I love that. I love that. I love that. Not, oh, I like it, or if I need it, or oh, so and so gave it to me, or blah, blah, blah. No, every single one of them,
Yeah, yeah, I know. I do have like bins full of just
thousands.
mixed up
Yeah.
beads.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it has said to me, it's okay, maybe you can bag these up. And I'm like, well, maybe there's a treasure. Because sometimes my actual jewelry
Right.
be up in there and it's pieces of silver. And I'm
Go
like,
there to the maybe that there is a treasure. Go to
so
that
I'd given
place.
a little bit of box of stuff to a friend of mine who's an artist. I'm like, okay, you
Right.
can give her about 5 more boxes. But so yeah, boys and girls clubs, whatever.
No,
You
I
know.
don't mean physically go there. I mean emotionally go to the place where you feel like maybe there's a treasure that if I give this away, then I will have given away a treasure. But guess what? You wouldn't know. You might have already given away a treasure.
Right.
You don't, how would you
Said that
know?
to
Right?
myself as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What is
Uh,
that? Ask yourself, what is that? What is that about? What is maybe there's a treasure that I'd be giving away? Is that
well,
like
I could
I'm afraid? Yeah.
go through it and put it in the bag, and there's some treasures of beads, but like the
No, I
treasures, like my
understand what you're
silver ring that I've been
saying,
looking
but I'm
for, or
just
whatever.
asking you. I understand exactly what you're
Go
saying, and
through it.
I've
Yeah,
heard
I
it from
feel you. Okay.
10,000 people.
Yeah.
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 You
Yeah.
know what?
Thank you.
Everybody says my situation is unique. I'm from another
No,
country.
I know
I'm this,
nah.
I'm that.
Let me just
Everybody
ask
is the
more this
same.
one thing. As a child, and I guess I was going through something then. Yeah, my mother has this picture. I don't know where it is. I'm sitting in a room full of just my toys and just stuff all surrounding me. And I still feel like that little girl. Now I didn't have a whole life. What was going on? My parents was kind of breaking up. Is that something that is still okay?
Go there. Go
Okay.
there.
Okay.
All
Go
right.
Thank
there.
you. Thank you. Oh my God, for your share. Tamara, I know you're babysitting, so I don't know if you can talk or not.
Uh,
Or she
Hey,
says she's driving.
I was in the car and then I had to come back in for something. So I was like, well, maybe I can talk.
Okay.
Um, my mom's got the baby in the car. But so I totally love this because um I have the issue of a husband who's cluttery and myself. I used to be really, really neat and tidy. And I hated things being out of place. And it used to piss him off. So I stopped being so anal about being tidy. And now I feel like everywhere I look, the house is cluttered. But we've come to a place where, our relationship is so much better. I do a lot of self work. Like Carol was saying, like she does a lot of self work, but he doesn't. So, but I think he is doing it. He just doesn't let me know that he's doing it because I could see the differences in him. So my office, I think, I mean, seriously, you could look at my house. I have a daycare in my house, so I have toys everywhere. Like they drive me nuts. Like wow, what do you do about all those toys? And then I go to my office, and my office is a lot nicer now than it was like a couple of weeks ago. So I know that some internal, like you were saying at the beginning, you have that internal clutter. So, and you'll notice when it's not so internally cluttered when your office starts to show it. And it's starting to show it, but I'm not quite there yet. So this is all really helpful. In fact, I was actually thinking before I even saw the thing for today, I was like, I need to get some baskets and start, organizing my closet and get rid of all these extra papers, because somebody was saying they had, oh, it's Sandra, like tons of paper from all the self work that we've done over the years. And I feel like if I get rid of it, I might lose it in my mind. Like,
Have you ever looked at it again?
no, I mean, I'll look at it just to put it back into the box. And then I put it back in the closet, like I'll take the new stuff, put it in the box, and then and I'm like, should I save it? Should I burn it? Should I get rid of it? But if I get
so much, Tamara, Tamara or Tamara?
Tamara.
So much of that, like saving that kind of stuff, that knowledge and books is about not trusting that when you need information, it will come to you. First of all, we have the internet now, like you can look up anything under the sun.
Oh, that's good.
That information that you had in the past is internalized. You might want to sit down in front of the TV with a box and look through and then maybe jot a couple of notes like, oh, that's a smart point, and then throw it away just to like make you feel better that you can. But the thing about the books and the papers and everything like that, I think it has so much to do with not trusting that we're going to have everything we need in terms of information, but also like there's a sort of a sense of security in having books because it makes you feel if you don't feel smart, then that makes you feel smart.
That's so true. Oh my gosh. That's so true. Because I never did feel smart, and I have 4 degrees, like, college degrees, and I still don't feel smart. So that's such a good point. Such a good point.
You know what? Clutter is never about the stuff. It's never, ever, 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 ever about the stuff. I mean, that's just like, I can't shout that from the rooftops enough. But you said something else. Oh, you said something about the toys. So I know every kid I've ever done their bedroom, we've pulled out like 3/4 of their toys, and they end up playing with their toys more. When there's too much, it's like you, Almeka, you were surrounded by toys when you were a little girl and you didn't feel like you had enough, or, you didn't feel like you could give kids toilet paper rolls, like the tubes, they would be in perfect heaven. Sticks and rocks from the street or chalk, sidewalk chalk, they don't need all the stuff we give them. It's just a distraction, so that it makes us feel like we're caring for them when it has nothing to do with it. Clutter is never about the stuff. Do yourself a favor. Talk to your clutter. Talk to it. Listen to it.
Thank you,
It's got
Tamara.
a message for you. And just for those of you who are still here, and for anybody who's listening to this afterwards, I am offering a free session with me to see if it would make sense to continue working together if you want to. But there's no obligation and there's no pressure or anything like that. You just get a sense of what it feels like to work. I would help guide you and be there for you and stand there with you in the process. And it's fun and it's challenging and it's deep and it's powerful. And I offer it to anybody who just, send me a message. I put a handout in the chat. I put a handout in the chat, and I also put my contact information, and you are welcome to find me on Facebook if we're not already Facebook friends.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Tamara. And Jessica, this is so wonderful. We tend to not make time when we want to ignore stuff. Like Judy is saying, she doesn't have time. Same thing. I don't have time for things. I just ignore it. It's not in my agenda. If it's not on my agenda, it's forgotten. So I don't have time for that. So thank you. What a wonderful session here. Next week, it's a similar topic by Cynthia Maloney. Her topic is grief avoidance culture, where we tend to set aside grief instead of going through the process. It's a very similar topic kind of thing. So come back again next week. So with that, we have to end this session. It's 9:16. Thank you, Jessica, and all of you for staying late. And Hope to see you next week. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Come back again next week. See ya. Thanks again, Jessica and
All right.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
You're
you,
so
Jessica.
welcome. Bye, everybody.
Bye
Bye.
bye. See you later.